Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala
कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 श्रील प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद श्री गुरु चरण पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा श्री गुरु चरण पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा बंद मोहि सावधान मते बंद मोहि सावधान मते जहर प्रसादे भाई ए भव तोरिया जाय जहर प्रसादे भाई ए भव तोरिया जाय कृष्ण प्राप्ति होय जाहा होइते कृष्ण प्राप्ति है जहाँ होइते गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया না করিহ মনে আশা আর না করিহ মনে আশা শ্রী গুরু চরণে রতি এই সেই তামাগতি শ্রী গুরু চরণে রাতে এই সে উত্তম গতি যে প্রসাদে পুরে সর্ব আশা ये प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिल जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिल जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से शिव ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेद गाय जहर चरिता श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जानर बंधो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जानर बंधो लोकना लोकेर जीवन ओ लोकना लोकेर जीवन श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जानर बंधो लोकना लोकेर जीवन श्रील प्रभुपाद पतित पावना आहा प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद छाया आहा प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद छाया एबे जगुचुति भुवना शिल प्रभुपाद पतित पावना तुह पदे लइलु चरणा जय प्रभुपादा 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 शिल प्रभुपादा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की शिल प्रभुपाद गुरु पूजा की नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले की करो तुम्हें बातें चले जाओ नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौरभक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया कर मोरे तुम बिना के दयालु जगत संसारे पतित पावन हेतु तब अवतार मौसम पतिता प्रभु না পাইবে প্রভু আহা প্রভু নিতানন্দ প্রেমানন্দ সুখী আহা প্রভু নিতানন্দ প্রেমানন্দ সুখী কৃপায় অবলোকন কর আমি বড় দুঃখী দয়া করো সীতাপতি অদ্বৈত গোসাই দয়া করো সীতাপতি অদ্বৈত গোসাই তব কৃপা বলে পাই চৈতন্য নিতাই स्वरूप सनातन रूप रघुना भट्ट जुग श्रीजीव प्रभु लोकना दया करो श्रीआचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास रामचंद्र संग मांगे नरोत्तम दास दया करो श्रीआचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास श्रीआचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास रामचंद्र संग मांगे नरोत्तम दास श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे ना प्रभु दया करो मोरे जय प्रभुपाद जय Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Hari Om Tat Sat. Dhanyavad. Now we're having Srimad Bhagavatam class, or class on Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So everyone, please, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Soranandana Prajanarandana. Yashodanandana Prajanarandana. Baba ki. Jai Nitalila Vishnu Vishnupada Savange Silesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananda Guri Vaishnavrinda ki. Jai Sri Rup Sanatana Bhattaragana Sri Jeev Gopalabha Das Ragana Sad Goswami Prabhu ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana ki. Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki. Sri Navadip Maya Pradam ki. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Gangamai Jamunamai ki. Srimati Brindadevi Tulsi Maharani ki. Srimati Bhakti Devi ki. Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir ki. Sri Laveta Prabhu Avirbhav Mahamahotsav ki. Sri Laveta Prabhu's Holy Appearance Day ki. Advaita Saptami ki. Jai Go Premanande. All glories to the Samadhavadis. All glories to the Samadhavadis. All glories to the Samadhavadis. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. So today is a super auspicious day in preparation for Gaur Purnima. Today is the Holy Appearance Day of Srila Veta Prabhu, by whose calling and tears Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world. So this is a very, very special day for all of us. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadandiyam Aradana Srinandan Tairidam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janmat Janmani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindhuvaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we found a very beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita as a pranam mantra for Sri Advaita Prabhu. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 6, verse number 1. Vande tam Srimad Advaita Charyam Adbhuta Chestitam Yasya Prasadat Agyopi Tatsvarupam Nirupayet. I offer my respectful obeisances to a sweet Advaita. By his mercy, even a foolish person can describe his victory. So one foolish person is going to try to describe something about Advaita Prabhu by his mercy. So we also found a very beautiful Advaitastikam written by Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Gangatire tatpayo bistulsya patrai puspai prema hunkara goshai prakartyartam goram aradayetya Sri Advaitacharyam itam prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, who with tulsi leaves, flowers, water from the Ganga shore, and loud calls of love, worshipped Lord Gora and begged him to appear. Yadunkarai prema sindur vikarai akrista sango ragalokanata avirbhuta sri advaita astinabadvip madhye sri advaita charyam etan prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, attracted by his loud calls, the golden Lord of Goloka Vrindavan, who is an ocean of ecstatic love, appeared in Sri Navadvip. Brahmadimam durlava prema purai adinam yaplavayam asalokam avirbhav Srila Chaitanya Chandram Srila Advaitacharyam etam prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, who by making the moon of Lord Chaitanya rise, flooded the world with love even Brahma and the great demigods cannot attain. Sri Chaitanya Sarvashakti Prapurno Yasyai Vagya Matrato Nartatardyepi Durvigayam Yasya Karunaya Krityam Srila Advaitacharyam etam prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, whose mercy is beyond understanding, and by whose request alone all-powerful Lord Chaitanya disappeared from this world. Sristi Siti Antam Vidatum Pravita Yasyam Yamasamsa Brahma Vishnavarka Yena Binam Tam Mahavishna Rupam Srila Advaitacharyam etam prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, who is not different from the form of Lord Mahavishnu, and whose parts and parcels are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, engaged in the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the worlds. Kasmim chidya sruyate charasya tvat sambhuritam sambhavam namadama sarva aradyam bhakti maitrika sadyam Srila Advaitacharyam etam prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, who is worshipped by all, who is attained only by devotional service, and who, as is heard in a certain Vedic literature, because he is the Lord Shiva's shelter, has a name and glory like Lord Shiva's. Sita namni preyasi prema purna putro yasyap achutnananda nama Sri Chaitanya prema pura prapurna Srila Advaitacharyam etam prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, who is flooded with love for Lord Chaitanya, and whose beloved Sita Devi and son Achyutananda are also filled with love. Nityananda Dvaito Dvaita Nama Bhaktya Kanad Yasa Acharya Dhamma Sasvacheta Sancharad Gora Dhamma Srila Advaitacharya etam prapadye. Let me surrender to Srila Advaitacharya, whose heart is Lord Gaura's eternal home, who is named Advaita because he is not different, Advaita, from Lord Nityananda, and who is named Acharya because he teaches devotional service. Prataprita pratyaharam sampadeyet yas sita natha yasyastikam shuddha buddhi soyam samyak tasya padada binde bindam bhaktim tad priyatvam gaya prayati. A person whose intelligence is pure and who every morning happily reads these 8 verses glorifying Lord Advaita, the husband of Sita, attains devotion for his lotus feet and becomes dear to him. Srila Advaitacharya Prabhu ki, So before we begin describing different pastimes of Srila Advaita Acharya, we'd like to discuss a little bit about the tattva of Advaita Acharya. This is very interesting. We're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 1, text number 12 and 13. Mahavishnu Jagat Karta Mayaya Yasrijat Yada Tasyavatara Evayam Advaita Acharya Ishvara. Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. So here, our Krishnadas Kaviraj describes Lord Advaita as the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose function is to create the cosmic world through the action of Maya. Later, we'll see especially in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and I think Gauragana just did Deepika, claims that he's the Sadashiv from Golok. So somehow he's a combination of Sadashiv and also Mahavishnu. And although as Mahavishnu he creates this mature world in which we're all entangled, he prayed for our deliverance from this great ocean of material existence. So we know that there's many expansions of the Lord. Finally he expands. In one corner of the material world there's a cloud of material energy, and Lord Mahavishnu expands into that cloud, and he lies down to sleep. And by his, just from the pore holes of his body, so many bubbles that expand into universes appear. And then he expands within each one of those universes as the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, who expands within the universe as a super soul, and as Shirodakshay Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk within each universe. So this is Mahavishnu. He's the incarnation of Mahavishnu. Because in the Panchatattva, first we have the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who many verses are there describing he's non-different from Krishna himself. Just like there's famous verse that the Goswamis always cite, the Krishna Varnam Tusa Krishna Sangupanga Saparshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayarjanti Hi Suvedasa. Krishna Varna. So we can take Varna as meaning category. Just like we know there's different categories, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya. So Krishna Varna, he's the same category as Krishna. He's non-different from Krishna, Advaita. Krishna Varnam, Visa Krishna, but he's Akrishna, he's golden in complexion. So Lord Chaitanya is Lord himself, playing the part of a devotee. To Yagyai Sankirtana prayer, to spread this Sankirtan Yagya. Yajanti hi sumedasa. Those who have good intelligence will take up this Sankirtan process. And Lord Nityananda, we know, what is that verse? Brajendra Nandana say, Sachi Sutta Hoilo Je, Balaram Hoilo Nitai. I did it backwards, Brajendra Nandana Je, Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se. Balaram Hoilo Nitai. So Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna, and he appears as Lord Nityananda. So Lord's expansion, Lord himself, one of the Lord's expansions. And Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu, the first Vishnu avatar. We know we just described the 3 different avatars. So he's Mahavishnu. And Gadadhar Pandit, he's Shakti Tattva, he's he's the incarnation of Radharani without her Krantari Bhag, because Lord Chaitanya, he's taken on Radha Bhava Dulitam. He's decorated himself with the bhav and luster of Srimati Radharani. And then Srivas is the incarnation of devotee. This is Panchatattva. So Mahavishnu, he's number 3, the avatar of the Lord, Mahavishnu. Verse number 13. Advaitam harinadvaitad acharyam bhakti samsandi sanat bhaktyavataram isham tam advaitacharyam asraye. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. So here it describes, because he's non-different, he's known as Advaita Acharya. Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotional service, he's Acharya. Because this is the position of Acharya. Krishna has told very clearly in Bhagavad-Gita, Bhakti Amam Abhijanat, only by bhakti, only by devotion. So one who presents devotional service is actual Acharya. So this is our Advaita Acharya. Not very ordinary living being. So Advaita Acharya, he appeared in a very nice Brahmin named Kuver Pandit, who lived in a place called Nabagan, near Srihat. Nabagan was also near Sylhet, so it's probably in Bangladesh somewhere. So his wife was Nabadevi, very chaste wife named Nabadevi, and on this 7th day of the bright half of the month of Magh, he made his appearance. Everyone was astounded at the beauty of the child. And later, they all moved to desiring to be associated with Vaishnava, because there were many Vaishnavas in Nadia. He moved to Sri Shantipur, where still the house of Advaita Acharya is still there in Shantipur. We also know he had a house in Navadvip, and he had one also in Mayapur. So he stayed there in Shantipur the first part of his life. He served his parents very nicely. When his parents left this world, then he decided to go offer Pinda at Gaya and go on pilgrimage to many holy places. So he went to Gaya, then he went to many, many different holy places. Finally he came to Vrindavan. The Lord Advaita Acharya's pastime in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, underneath a very special banyan tree just at the foot of was now Madan Mohan Temple. Of course, there was no Madan Mohan Temple in those days, but the foot of the Dwadas Aditya Hill, he found a very special banyan tree. Underneath that banyan tree, he located the Madan Mohan Didi that had been established by Sri Krishna's great-grandfather Vajranam. Grandson, excuse me. So that place is now known as Advaitavat, because Vat we know means banyan tree. Very beautiful deity of Advaita Acharya is there. So he called the deity Madan Gopal. And if you go there, exquisitely beautiful deities of Radha Madan Gopal. and very nicely. It was just a broken down place when I first came here. But Rajesh and Brajesh Goswamis have collected and built a very beautiful, large temple with so many beautiful dioramas and paintings and everything, and arranged kirtan every day. Very beautiful place now, Advaita Bhatt. But at that time, Vrindavan was all forest, and there was hardly anybody here. So Advaitacharya, he went to Mathura, and there was one Brahmin family named Purushottam Chobe. There's many of the Brahmin community in Mathura, they're called Chobe. Rest of UP, we call them Chaturvedis, but in Brij Bhasa, Chobe. So he gave it to Purushottam Chobe. Later, Lord Chaitanya sent Sanatana Goswami, and one of his duties was to find out that Madan Gopal Didi and establish a temple. So now this beautiful, on top of the Advaita, the Dwadasa Ditya, there's a beautiful temple to Madan Mohan. Later he went to Jaipur, then from Jaipur he's now residing in a very wonderful temple in Karoli. So after some time, Advaita returned to Shantipur, and he had his place just near the Ganga. And he used to call all of the Vaishnavas to discuss Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He was determined, because the world was becoming more and more materialistic. People were giving up worshipping Krishna, they were worshipping Durga, and they were all Shaktas and materialistic. So he and whatever few Vaishnavas were there, somehow or other, Haridas Thakur, after being tested by Maya herself, he came to Shantipur, and he heard the Vaishnavas were meeting at Advaitacharya's house. So he very happily joined the nightly meetings discussing Srimad Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he wanted to perform the Shraddha ceremony for his father. So in this ceremony, first, usually one invites so many Brahmins and feeds them first before anyone else. But Advaita Acharya, he called Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was born in a Yavana family, Muslim family, completely outside the caste system. What does Advaita Acharya was a great Brahmin. He's supposed to call Brahmin. He's calling somebody completely out of the Manashram system. Born in a very low-class family, Haridas Thakur was very shocked. What in the world is he doing? He said, no, you're absorbed day and night in chanting the holy names of the Lord. You're completely purified. I'm convinced that feeding you is worth feeding 10 million Brahmins. Feeding you is worth feeding 10 million Brahmins. So he offered that Shraddha Patra to Haridas Thakur. And finally, although he is the incarnation of Mahavishnu himself, he felt incapable. This Kali Yuga was advancing, people were becoming so materialistic that even as Mahavishnu, he was unable to change the tide. He said, only if Krishna himself comes can anything be done. So he began to worship his Shalagram Shila, that's still there in Shantipur, because he made a deity of Madan Gopal. I made a copy, he had a painting of Madan Gopal, so he made a deity modeled after Madan Gopal, and in that temple they have the Shalagram that Sri Advaita was worshipping. And he was having his meetings there And the local people were becoming upset. These Vaishnavas are making so much noise and doing all their hocus pocus. Surely our village will meet with a great calamity. We must drive these Vaishnavas from this place. When Advaitacharya overheard this comment, he roared like a lion. And he made a very heavy vow. I will bring Krishna here and change all these fools and rascals. Otherwise, what is the use of my name as Acharya? And he began to meditate, how in the world can I bring Krishna here? Then he remembered a verse spoken by Narad Muni in the Gautamiya Tantra. Tusidala matrena jalasya chulakena va vikrinitam swamatmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsala. Tusidal amatrena. Matre means simply with a tulsi leaf. By offering a tulsi leaf, jal, we know jal, kulachena means just enough to fill the the palm of the hand. Vikrinitam, just like if you've been here in India for a while, you've heard the word bikri. Bikrinitam, Lord's swamatmanam, the Lord sells himself. Lord feels that somebody offers a tulsi leaf and a little bit of water from Ganga, I have no way to repay. I have no way to repay, only I give myself. Bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsala, he's bhaktavatsala. I'm indebted to this person, I have nothing to satisfy the debt. I have to give myself. So then he really began crying and calling for the Lord and worshipping with Ganga and tulsi leaves, tulsi buds, manjaris. He was offering the Lord and calling and calling and calling. And he and Haridas, they would always discuss, when will the Lord make his appearance? When will he save us? One night, he felt special joy within his mind. And Haridas Thakur also felt joy within his mind. It was a Falgun Purnima night. Both of them began to chant and dance ecstatically. They forgot their material existence. And nobody could understand what is going on, what is going on. He was a good friend of Jagannath Mishra. And they heard that Jagannath Mishra had a son. So immediately, his wife Sita Devi, as Bhattacharya accepted two wives, Sita Devi and Sri Devi. We don't hear much about Sri Devi, but she's also one of the wives of Advaitacharya. And Sita Devi, we hear so much that even Lord Advaita is known by his wife's name. We say Sitanath. She's such an amazing devotee that Lord is known by her name, Sitanath. So Sita Devi went there with so many valuable presentations for the newborn child. And when she heard that he was born beneath a neem tree, because we've heard how Jagannath Mishra had so many children before they all died. So people believe, first of all, neem is very bitter. I don't know if you ever tasted neem. And also neem trees are very famous, that no evil spirits or ghosts or bhoots or prates will stay where there's a neem tree. So although they had named him Visvambar, she gave the name Nimai, so that he will survive and he'll not die like all the other children. No evil spirit will come near him, Nimai. She gave the name Nimai. So, of course, Vishvambara had one older brother, Visvarup. And Visvarup, he became very fond of going to Advaitacharya's house and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad-Gita from him. One day, he was so absorbed in hearing the katha that he forgot to go home. It was time for breakfast. So Mother Sachi Devi, she called Visvambara. She says, "You please go there and call your brother. He must be there at Advaita's house." So Visvambara went there. Small boy, I believe he was Digambar, only dressed by the four directions. Means without any cloth. Such a small boy. And he called his brother that now it's time for breakfast, you please come. Advaitacharya, he was completely astounded by seeing the beauty of this child. Special joy came within his mind. He said, "Is this the child who's the answer to my prayers?" He was so enchanted. But we know Nimai, he was just absorbed in logic. He would debate with everyone and defeat everyone. He would present something and he would defeat everyone who tried to present something else. Then he'd turn around and defeat his own proposal. He was such a Pandit, Nimai Pandit. And everyone felt if he would only become a Vaishnava, if he'd only become a Vaishnava. Later Nimai, he went to Gaya. Oh, we're skipping one, we're skipping over. There was one great devotee we've all heard of, Madhavinda Puri. He found this very beautiful Gopal deity. Now he's known as Srinathji in Nathadwar, Rajasthan. And he arranged for very wonderful worship. He built a small temple. Later some businessman built a very nice temple on top of Govardhan Hill. And arranged nice worship. But Lord came to him in his dream. So from staying in the bushes, my body is still burning. Please bring sandalwood and Malayan sandalwood and camphor. So the place nearby this was available was in Jagannath Puri. So Madhavinda Puri, he engaged some Brahmins to worship the deity. And he set off by foot. Those days there was no, what to speak of Air India and Indigo and etc. There was not even buses. He went by foot. No train, no bus. On his way, he passed through Nadia. He came to Shantipur. And he heard that there were some Vaishnavas there, headed by Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya was totally amazed at the ecstatic love of Madhavinda Puri. So he immediately begged him for initiation. So Advaitacharya was initiated by Madhavinda Puri, who went off to Puri and then he returned to as far as Shivchor Gopinath, we know. So he had this very special connection with Madhavinda Puri. And we know Nimai, the great Pandit, he went to Gaya to do the ceremonies for his father. While there, he happened to meet the disciple of Madhavinda Puri, Ishwar Puri, who gave him the chanting of the holy name. And as soon as Lord Chaitanya began to chant, he became completely mad. He went back to Ishwar Puri, what have you given me? And Ishwar Puri said, this is the actual fruit of chanting the holy name, that one becomes free from material existence, mad after Krishna. So when Nimai Pandit returned to Mayapur, he was totally a changed person. All the Vaishnavas think, if you just become a Vaishnava, he's so intelligent. He's so beautiful, he's so powerful. When he returned, he was completely mad after Krishna. He was teaching his logic and his Sanskrit grammar. He began to teach everything in relation to Krishna. All the students began, what in the world is this? The devotees, when they saw this change in Nimai, they immediately ran to Vaitacharya. And Vaitacharya said, yes, I understood when he used to come and call, when Visvarup, that this must be the answer to my prayers. Now it's confirmed. And I had a dream last night. The Lord said he went to bed unhappy. So he didn't eat his meal. And somebody appeared in his dream and said, arise. The answer to all your prayers has come. Why are you so sad? So then that dream disappeared. He ate his meal. In the morning, the Vaishnavas came with this news. He was overjoyed. Yes, I understood when I saw him, when he used to call Visvarup. This is the answer to my prayers. Now everyone will get love of God. Now the holy names of the Lord will spread all over the three worlds. Everyone in every town and village will hear the holy names. He was completely overjoyed. He was so happy. Then we know Nimai, he decided to, because some of his students were offending him. Because now he was only talking about Krishna. Everything was Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And some of his students, they began to offend him. And he thought, how can they be saved? He said, everyone naturally pays their obeisance to a sannyasi. If I take sannyas, they'll be freed from their offense by offering obeisance to me. And people automatically, by showing respect, they will gain so much benefit and be able to accept the Sankirtan movement. So he went to Katwa, he took sannyas from Keshav Bharti. Here's what we've heard. Our Acharyas explained, actually he gave, because he asked Keshav Bharti, what mantra are you going to give? And he chanted some mantra in Keshav Bharti's ear, that sannyas mantra. And Keshav Bharti said, yes, this is very nice mantra. So Keshav Bharti was actually initiated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then he decided, now I'm sannyas, I should go to Vrindavan and live in seclusion and do my bhajan. And Lord Nityananda had accompanied him. So he told Lord Nityananda, please take me to Vrindavan. Lord Nityananda fooled him and began to take him back to the Ganga. And finally, Lord Chaitanya was lost in ecstasy, and all the cowherd boys on the way, they would see Lord Chaitanya, Hari, 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 they'd all spontaneously chant. And Nityananda went to, in a secluded place, he told the boys, if he asked, where is Vrindavan, you point out the way to the Ganga. So he asked all the little cowherd boys, which way to Vrindavan, which way to Jamuna? And they all pointed this way. And then he sent someone ahead, go tell Advaitacharya to come this side of the Ganga to receive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all of a sudden, he asked Nityananda, how far till Vrindavan? He said, this is Ganga. This is Jamuna. And the Lord was mad with ecstatic love. He chanted so many beautiful prayers. Immediately took his bath. But he only had one set of underwear and no clean, dry cloth. At that moment, Advaitacharya arrived with dry underwear and dry cloth. And Mahaprabhu was shocked. Advaita, what are you doing? How did you know I was in Vrindavan? How did you come here? And Advaitacharya said, my Lord, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. Then the Lord understood that Nityananda had tricked him. And Advaitacharya said, no, Nityananda has not tricked you. Actually, the Ganga joins, the Jamuna joins Ganga at Prayag, and she flows on the western side. And Ganga flows on the eastern side. You're on the western side, so this is actually Jamuna. You are actually in the Jamuna. Anyway, I'll feed you a little bit of something. You come, please come to my house. So both Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they went to Advaitacharya's house. And Advaitacharya had prepared a feast, such a feast, we can't even begin to describe that feast. There was mounds of beautiful, fragrant rice with yellow ghee and butter melting on it. And all around there was hundreds of banana leaf cups filled with hundreds of, at least 100 different sabjis. And so many clay pots with so many other different preparations. And Lord Chaitanya began to complain, how are you feeding me? I'm a sannyasi. Now how can I eat so much? How will I control my senses? He said, for you this is nothing. In Jagannath Puri you eat 54 times a day. This is just a tiny morsel for you. And washing Lord Chaitanya's hands and feet, and Lord Chaitanya, he begged them to sit. And they saw 3 plates. They understood this metal plate was for Krishna, and 2 banana leaves were for him and Lord Nityananda. Finally he sat down, and whenever he'd finish half of one leaf cup, Lord Advaita would immediately fill it again. And he was complaining, you're overfeeding me, how am I going to maintain myself? He says, Lord, this is nothing. And Lord Nityananda, in a funny mood, he said, I was fasting for 3 days. I was thinking today I'll break my fast, but you've given me another fast. What is this? This won't even fill half my belly. And Lord Advaita said, you bogus sannyasi. We shouldn't think that Advaita and Nityananda were having an argument. They were joking back and forth. And Nityananda again criticized that this is nothing. I should leave. And said, I'm never going to invite another sannyasi again. You've ruined all my religious principles. And then Nityananda became so angry, he grabbed some rice and threw it on the ground, but some pieces of it stuck to Advaita's leg. And Advaita began to dance in ecstasy. Advaita Prabhu began to dance in ecstasy. In this way they enjoyed joking words. And then everyone, we know that they brought Sachi Mata there, and all the devotees came, and Lord Chaitanya met all the devotees. And we can't imagine the scene of Sachi Mata seeing her son with shaved head. Even Lord Advaita, when he had heard that Nimai had shaved his head and Katwa had taken sannyas, he began to cry. We can't imagine Sachi Devi and seeing her son dressed in sannyas dress with his beautiful locks shaved off. We can't imagine her emotions. And when she heard the Lord wanted to go to Vrindavan, she said, that's so far away, we'll never get news. Actually, all the Bengali Vaishnavas, they love to go to Jagannath Puri. You please stay in Jagannath Puri, then every once in a while, with those people coming back and forth, we'll get some news. And Lord Chaitanya bowed at his mother's feet. He said, from you this body has come. So I owe everything to you. So I cannot deny your order. I will go and stay in Puri. And then he invited all the Vaishnavas that you come to Puri every year, enjoy the Rath Yatra festival. So especially for whole Chaturmasya, they used to come and stay and enjoy the Rath Yatra festival and stay there for some days and then return. And everyone in Puri was inviting Mahaprabhu to take prasad at their house. So Advaitacharya and Sita Devi, they had also come to Puri. So again he invited Lord Chaitanya, come to my house. And again we can't even begin to describe the preparations that Sita Devi prepared for Lord Chaitanya. So many wonderful preparations were there. And I guess we missed one. One time, because Lord Chaitanya was doing his pastimes at Srivasangan. And one night, what do they call it? Mahaprakash. He performed his Mahaprakash Dita, where he sat down on the altar. Then all the devotees for, I can't remember, 21 hours, something like that. They worshipped the Lord Chaitanya, singing and dancing. And he was calling all the devotees. Everyone except Sachi Mata. And the devotees were concerned, why you're not, he was not allowing Sachi Devi to enter. Mahaprabhu said, she is offended Advaitacharya. Anyone who offends Advaitacharya, I cannot see his face. And Advaitacharya felt the same. That anyone who offends Lord Chaitanya accepts me, but Lord, I don't want to see his face. So finally, what did she do? What did she do? Because we know that previously Vishwarupa had already, when they went to arrange his marriage, he immediately ran away and took sannyas, Shankararanya. He became Shankararanya. So Mother Sachi Devi, within her mind, he said, this is due to Advaita's influence. By his classes, he has instilled this renunciation in my son. Therefore she criticized Advaitacharya and condemned him. And the devotee said, what can she do? Of course, we shouldn't think that Mother Sachi Devi can offend anyone. This was just a pastime of the Lord to emphasize that we should be very careful about offending Vaishnavas. Even Mother Sachi Devi was not allowed to see Lord Chaitanya. Only if she begs forgiveness from Lord Advaita and touches his feet. Of course, Advaitacharya was nowhere going to let Mother Sachi touch her feet. But in Kirtan, Advaitacharya finally fainted. All the devotees were in ecstasy. At that point, Mother Sachi came and touched the feet of Advaitacharya. Then she was allowed to enter the Mahaprakash Leela in Srivasangan. Another time, from Sita Devi, Lord Advaita had 6 sons, and from Sri Devi had one son, Shamdas. And the eldest of his sons was Achyutananda. One time, some wandering sannyasi came to the house of Advaitacharya. And Advaitacharya felt that he's not a devotee, but anyway, he's sannyasi, so out of respect, he offered him prasad. And that sannyasi said, first you give me what I want, then I will eat. He said, no, you eat, then I'll give you what you want. No, I'm not going to eat until you give me what I want. What is it you want? Oh, is it 9 o'clock already? He said, please tell me the relationship. Of course, there's no prasad today, so there's no worry. What's the relation between Lord Chaitanya and Keshav Bharati? And the way to consider within his mind, there's spiritual significance, there's material significance. He's a materialistic sannyasi, how will he understand? He said, well, Keshav Bharati is the guru of Lord Chaitanya. Achyutananda was playing with his friends, he overheard this. He came running there. Again, it was described, he was covered with dust, he was completely naked, just a small boy. Said, what did you say? Who can be the guru of Lord Chaitanya? Then he began preaching very heavily that Lord Chaitanya is the guru of everyone. He's the Lord of all. How can you say such a thing? And Lord Advaita was so pleased with his son. Achyutananda, because we know there's a few lines, unfortunately, of Advaita's family that we won't discuss. But he was a fitting son. Lord Advaita was so pleased. Another time, because Lord Chaitanya was the disciple of Ishwar Puri, and Ishwar Puri's guru was Madhavendra Puri, so he accepted Lord Advaita as his spiritual master, as his senior. But Lord Chaitanya would never allow this. He said, what can I do? How can I get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya? He treats me like a superior. So one day, Advaitacharya, he began to preach Mayavad philosophy. And of course, Haridas Thakur wasn't at all diverted, but some of his disciples actually were diverted. Lord Chaitanya heard this, he was furious. He grabbed Lord Nityananda, come, let us go see Advaitacharya. And Lord Nityananda, he suspected something's going on. And he saw that Lord Chaitanya was glowing, especially bright, golden bright. Before going to visit Advaitacharya, they decided to take bath in the Ganga. Even underneath the water, he saw that Lord Chaitanya's body was glowing like so many suns. He said, what's happening? So after taking their bath, they went down to Advaita Prabhu's house. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the house in the middle of class. He said, tell me frankly, what is higher, bhakti or gyan? And Advaitacharya says, without gyan, bhakti is useless. And Nimai, he was just a young boy. He jumped on Advaitacharya and began to pummel him and beat him like anything in front of all of his disciples. Everyone was shocked. They'd never seen Nimai in such a anger. And he was just beating and beating and beating. And nobody did anything. And finally his Sita Devi, she began, he's just an old man, you're going to kill him. He's an old man, you're going to kill him. Please stop, stop, stop. And she looked at all the disciples, what are you doing? And all the disciples looked at Advaitacharya. Every time Nimai would beat him, he was going into ecstasy. He was shouting in ecstasy. Every punch of Nimai was just more and more ecstasy. He was not at all injured. They were totally shocked. So they were afraid to move. Then he understood that Advaitacharya, he's actually in ecstasy by this beating. Finally, Lord Chaitanya came to his senses. And he begged forgiveness. And Lord Advaita said, no, you will never give me your mercy. Now I've got your mercy. I'm ecstatic. You're concerned about my spiritual life. You're beating me like this. So I got your mercy. I got your mercy. This was my plan. And all the devotees were shocked. So every year the devotees would go to Puri to one time he begged, after the Srivasangan pastimes, he begged, everybody went to take bath in the river, and Lord Advaita stayed back, and he begged Lord Chaitanya that please show me that form that you showed to Arjuna. And Lord Nimai, he shut the door and went into the room, and he displayed with hundreds of mouths and hundreds of eyes and hundreds of forms, this universal form, Visvarup, he displayed before the eyes of Lord Advaita. Lord Advaita was in ecstasy. Nityananda, he immediately understood something's going on. So he opened the door, came inside. He also was able to see this Visvarup, that beautiful picture in our Chaitanya Charitamrita. Maybe it's here. Let's see. We were looking at it last night somewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita. No, it's not here. There's amazing BVT painting of this pastime. So in this way, Lord Advaita was always there in Rath Yatra, chanting and dancing with the Lord. So many wonderful pastimes there with Maharaj Prataparudra also. Advaita witnessed all these pastimes. Advaitacharya, I forgot to mention, he was born like almost 52 years before Lord Chaitanya appeared. So he was quite an old man when Nimai was beating him. So finally one year, Advaitacharya sent a message to Mahaprabhu. He called Mahaprabhu to this world to save the fallen souls. Then he sent somebody with message. You tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that everyone has become mad. And that rice, there's no demand for rice in the marketplace anymore. And everyone has become completely mad. And tell him that some madman named Advaita has sent this message. So Lord Chaitanya understood what Advaita had called him. Now he was sending him back. Everybody was absorbed in love of Godhead, so there's no more demand in the market. There's no, rice meant love of God. There's no more demand in the market. So now you can wind up your pastimes. So it was Lord Advaita, he called Mahaprabhu to this world, and he called him back to the spiritual world. And I believe Advaita Prabhu himself left 25 years after Mahaprabhu's disappearance. So today is a very special day for us. This is Lord Advaita's appearance day, who was the one who called our Lord Chaitanya. We're only sitting here in this place, in this beautiful Krishna Balaram temple in Ramanreti, Vrindavan, only because our Advaita Prabhu called Lord Chaitanya to this world. So we're entirely indebted to him, and we offer our koti dhanavas at his lotus feet. So anybody has any question or comment? I'm sure there's some pastimes I missed, but
You mentioned in the beginning that also they consider him incarnation of Sadashiva, you said, from Goloka. So in Goloka, Sadashiva is there? Or?
Somehow I read that yesterday, that he's Sadashiva from Goloka. So somehow there's some Sadashiva in Goloka also. We'll never understand it. We'll have to go back to Godhead and find out all that.
Hare Krishna.
So if there's no other questions, then we'll all bow down at the very soft and wonderful lotus feet of that great personality who fulfilled Advaita Prabhu's prediction that the holy name will now spread throughout the world. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sri Advaita Prabhu ki jai.
So the Advaita tribe was 125 years old when he passed away?
That's what it said. Hare Krishna.